Welcome to Pathway to Understanding. Today we are going to see 4th Standard Science, Unit 1, My Body. You have already learned about some of the body parts. Let's try identifying them. Do you know what is the name of this body part? Yes, it's a nose. What is this? This is a head. Can you identify these? These are hands. These are the body parts that are visible to our eyes, and hence they are called external organs. But are these the only organs present in our body? No. There are certain organs that are present inside our body and they are not visible to our eyes. These body parts are called the internal organs. Shall we see some of the internal organs? Brain is an internal organ, lungs, stomach, heart, kidneys, bones and muscles. So these are some of the internal organs. As the name suggests, these internal organs are present inside the body and they are not visible to our eyes. So now let us learn more about these parts in the next slides. First, let's learn about brain. Do you know where the brain is located? It is an internal organ, so it is located inside our body, specifically inside our head. This brain is the commanding center of our body. It means that the other organs or the other body parts may perform their functions, but all the commanding for these functions are given by the brain. Meaning, if your eyes are looking at something, it is because the brain commands the eyes to look at it and to identify what the object is. Every action in our body is controlled by the brain. Even the tiny actions in our body are controlled by the brain. There is no action our body does which is not controlled by the brain. For example, you can take, for instance, you have a hot bowl full of hot water. Now, without knowing, you touch the water. What will be your immediate reaction? You will remove your hands from the bowl almost instantly. This is happening because the brain is commanding the hands to remove itself from the hot bowl in order to not hurt itself. Likewise, every action the body does is controlled by the brain. And since brain is an internal organ, it is a very delicate body part. All the internal organs are delicate body parts. So they need protection. So your brain in particular is protected by skull. So in this diagram, the white matter we see is the brain and the bony structure surrounding it is called the skull. The skull protects the brain. And to the brain, there are three main parts, namely forebrain, midbrain, and the hindbrain. This forebrain is, as the name suggests, is the front part of the brain, and the midbrain is the middle part of the brain, and the hindbrain is the backmost part of the brain. Each of these parts of the brain have their own functions to perform, which you'll be learning in your higher grades. Now let's play a memory game. Memory is a function of the brain. So now I am going to read out 7 things to you. After reading all the 7 things, you will have to try to recall the things that I just read out. Let's see how good your memory is and how much you can recall. So now I'll start reading the 7 things. Book, ice, duck, school, bike, fan, shoes. Now try saying the 7 things again. If you have said all the seven things, then well done, you have a very good memory. But if not, we'll try another thing. We'll try to trick our brain into remembering it more better. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to play the same game, but now, along with saying the names of those things, I'm going to place a picture of those things on the screen. So now let's see how much you can remember and repeat. Book, ice, duck, school, bike, fan, shoes. Now try repeating them. I believe every one of you would have recollected all the seven things. This is because our brain is good at remembering pictorial information rather than just text. So the next time when you have difficulty in learning something, try to learn or memorize it in the form of some kind of pictorial representation or information so that it stays in the mind for a longer time. So next we're going to see about the next internal organ, which is the lungs. So these lungs are first of all present in pairs. So if you say pair, it means pair of two. So lungs, there are two lungs, a right and a left, a pair of lungs. And these lungs are spongy. They are sac-like organs. You can see in the image, they are sac-like organs and they are in a pair. So there is a right lung and there is a left lung. And they are located inside the chest. So the lungs, we already know that we breathe in and out. So lungs are very vital for breathing in and out. So when we breathe in, we take in oxygen. So you have to remember this. When you breathe in, you're taking in oxygen. This oxygen is very essential for life. So when we breathe in, the lungs become big. The lungs, as already said, it's very spongy. It's sac-like organs. So it can expand and contract easily. So when we breathe in, the lungs actually become big. And then when we breathe out, we are giving out carbon dioxide and not oxygen. When we breathe in, we take in oxygen. But when we breathe out, we give out carbon dioxide. When you are giving out air, the lungs become small. You can understand this with an example of a balloon. So you might have all played with a balloon. You might have blown a balloon. If not, try blowing a balloon. So balloon actually looks like this when there is no air filled in it. So this is how our lungs are. When you fill air in it, that is when we take in oxygen, it becomes like this. It becomes big like the balloon. But then when you give out air from it, it again comes back to this form where it is small. So you can remember the function of the lungs by using a balloon. Even though the internal organ which is used for breathing is lungs, the external organ which is very important for breathing is nose. We breathe in and out of our nose. Now let's try breathing in and out and observe what is happening in your lungs as well as in your nose. So a fish is going to be breathing in and out. You breathe in and out along with the fish. Breathe in now. Breathe out. Observe that the fish is also becoming big when it is breathing in and small when it is breathing out. Now, as you breathe in, your lungs are becoming big and they're taking in oxygen. And as they're giving out carbon dioxide, the lungs become small. So now I guess you would have known a little more about lungs. We'll move on with the next internal organ, which is the stomach. So stomach is it is a J-shaped bag kind of a thing, which is found just below the lungs. So lungs, we know it is inside the chest. So below the lungs, we have a stomach. It is a J-shaped bag. So this is a stomach. You can see that the stomach is in the shape of the letter J. And it is a bag. So when we take in food, we eat food to give us energy. So the stomach is the one which performs the function of breaking down food and converting it into energy. So we eat solid foods. Those solid foods cannot be digested as it is. It has to be broken down. So this function is performed by the stomach. So for this breaking down, it cannot just break down on its own. There is a special juice contained in the stomach, produced in the stomach, which helps in breaking down food into energy. So the next internal organ we are going to see is the heart. Heart is a very important organ. Why? Because it is a pumping organ. So pumping means it is sending out, it is giving out something. So what does it pump? It pumps blood to all the parts of the body. So this blood is present in all the parts of the body. It is present in our entire body. You might have seen, if you have gotten hurt, you might have seen blood coming out of your body. This is because blood is present in all the parts of your body. So blood is very important to our body. Since heart is the one which pumps blood to all the parts of the body, heart is also a very vital organ. This heart lies between the lungs. You have seen lungs come in pair, a right lung and a left lung. So just in between these lungs is the heart. So the lungs are inside the chest. So the heart also should be inside the chest. It is in the center of the chest. This heart does not have any bones. It is made completely out of muscles, and hence it is even more delicate than any other organ. This lungs and the heart and the entire part of chest is protected by the rib cage. This is how the heart looks like. And another fun fact is a heart beats 72 times per minute. You can check them by keeping your finger on your wrist, the nerves on your wrist, and you can count how many times the heart beats for 1 minute. Next important internal organ we are going to learn is kidneys. So the kidneys, as the name suggests, it's plural. So there are two kidneys. And these kidneys are bean-shaped organs. Have you seen a bean before? You might have ate it, or else this is how a kidney looks like, and this is a bean. So you can see that the kidneys look exactly like the beans. So because the kidneys look like these beans are actually called as kidney beans. They can also be called as kidney beans. Now, what is the function of these kidneys? So we've already seen that heart pumps blood to all the parts of the body, but this blood can be um, infiltrated by excess water and toxins. So the function of the kidneys is to purify blood. How it purifies is by removing the excess water and toxins. This excess water and toxins which are removed by the kidney is what comes out of a body as urine. Now let's do an activity. Using the clues given on the left side, we have to match the organ which is given down in the box. So let's test our knowledge of how much we have learned in the past few slides. So which of these organs is a pair of spongy sac? So I already said pair of spongy sac was something that is used to breathe in and breathe out. It is nothing but the lungs. Next, which was the J-shaped bag? Do you remember which was the J-shaped bag? I'll give you a clue. It is the one which helps to break down food. It is the stomach. Very good. And then, which is the organ which filters excess water from the body? It is the kidneys. Which is the command center of the body? It is the brain. Which is the internal organ which is used to pump blood? It is the heart. So well done. You have learnt very good so far. The next internal organ we are going to learn is bones and muscles. So these bones and muscles are present in our entire body. The bones are hard to touch and the muscles are softer to touch. So in your hands itself, if you take your hands, if you touch your fingers, the soft material is the muscles. If you touch it harder, you can feel something hard inside the muscle. These are the bones. So what is the function of the bones is the bones gives shape to us. So just imagine we just have a muscle. We won't have a definite shape because it's a very soft material, so it will just fall on the ground. So these bones are very essential for us to give us shape. And the bones also protect the internal parts of the body, as I have already said. So all these parts, the brain is protected by the skull. Yes. And as I already said, the chest part is protected by the rib cage. All these parts are actually bony structures. They are called bones. So the main function of the bones is to give us shape and to protect the internal parts of the body. So this is the bones. So see, the entire body is made up of bones. You can see this is a skull, this is a rib cage. So these are all bones. So what does the muscle do? The muscle cover the bones. Just imagine this is how we are going to be. Then we are going to be very scary to look at. So bones are very important for us for to cover the bones. And because of the bones only we can move different parts of our body. The bones are very sorry the muscles help us move different parts of our body. See, bones are very hard structure, so it is not a very flexible structure. So if there is no muscle, it will be very hard for us to move or hold something in our hand, to drop something. So in our hand, you can see it folds, and if you have to carry a bottle, your palms fold, hold the bottle, and when you're dropping it, you have to remove your hand. This is all possible only because of the muscles. The muscles contract and relax like a rubber band. It can expand, it can contract, and thus we can move different parts of our body. This is how muscles are. It covers the bones. So now, for healthy bones, we all have to have healthy bones. So for healthy bones, there are certain foods that you can add to your diet. What are those foods? Milk, cheese, and eggs. So, are you taking these things regularly? If you take these things regularly, you will have a very healthy bone. And then, for healthy muscles or for strong muscles, what we have to do? We have to exercise regularly. We have to be fit. You have to be very active in order to have strong muscles. Now, we'll see certain fun facts. Which is the longest bone in the body? Can you guess? Okay, the longest bone in the body is actually the thigh bone. The thigh bone's name is called the femur. You can see here, it's a femur bone. Which is the smallest bone in the body? It is present in our ear. It is called as the stapes bone. This is the bone. It is a very smallest bone in the body. It is present inside our ear. So which is our longest muscle? So now you have to guess this. We already know that bones are covered by muscles. So if the longest bone is a thigh bone, then the muscle covering it should be the longest muscle, right? Yes, that's the right answer. So the longest muscle is actually the thigh muscle.